And we're live. Hey everyone, I'm Marco. I'm one of the code mentors at the FirehoseProject. And today is our info session about a full stack web development 12-week coding bootcamp. So let's go straight in and figure out what we're going to cover today. So I think I usually try to cover 3 big sections in that talk. First one is going through the core curriculum, figuring out what are the things that we're building, what kind of features are we building, and then also how do we actually customize our curriculum to fit to your goals, your specific coding goals, whether you be an entrepreneur or you want to land a job, you're a job seeker, career switcher at the end. And I'm usually going through how our full support system works, right? It's like how do mentorship sessions, the one-on-one mentorship sessions, how does the question and answer forum, and how do our weekly office hours help you get to where you need to be at the end of the 12 weeks. And then usually I get one question, which is, what can I really do after I'm done with the Firehose project, right? What can I build afterwards? And I usually answer that question as well, just to make sure you guys understand on a technical level as well as on what you can produce. Now, the next thing that I want to do afterwards is also answer all you guys' questions, right? So feel free to send me any questions. You guys all have my email. Email me your questions. I already received the view, which is awesome. And also, there's a few that you guys can put in right in that box on the Google Plus page. So put them in there as well, and we can get that started. So let's jump in. Core curriculum, talk about that a little bit. Basically, core curriculum consists of 3 or 4 different applications that we want you guys to build. One of the first ones is what we call the Splurty app. And that application is basically gives you a 360-degree view over everything that we're building. And that means you're going to launch a fully functional application within the first usually 10 hours with us. And that means what we're going to do is something pretty simple, actually. So that means we're going to take a few quotes, store them in the database, and we display it on a screen for the user to see. So that means that you're not only going to touch the Ruby programming language and the Rails framework and your database. You got to work with Git and GitHub and push your application live. But it also means that one thing that's important for us is that you get that user feedback, that you can build something real, launch it, push it live on the internet, and share it with your friends, and they can give you feedback. You may not be able to take that feedback yet and improve your application, but you're definitely going to feel that, oh, wow, I'm in a driving seat here. I'm one of those digital creators, one of those web developers that actually built something that people can use, right? And our goal, the one thing we're always shooting for is if you're at a party and you pull out your phone and say hey, look, this is what I built last night to your family, to your friends, the response should be always, oh, wow, you built this? That's awesome. And that's what we're shooting for. So it's looking good on desktop, looking good on mobile, looking good on tablet, right? That's the goal we're reaching for. And we do that throughout all of our applications. So that was the first 10 hours with us, right? You launched your first web application and people can use it. Now let's move on. What's the next thing? Next, we build our Nomster, our Yelp clone. So that Yelp clone, if I'm thinking about it, the best or the most used feature, I think, is the Google Map API, right? So that means we need to write the code in Ruby to translate the address that a user types into a form for one of their places. Let's say I'm going to have a store that sells pizza, right? So for my awesome pizza store, call it Marco's Awesome Pizza Store, I type in my address, then we write the Ruby code to grab that address, translate it into latitude and longitude coordinates, pass those coordinates back into the Google Map API so we get the little pin on the map. Now, that would be something neat, but it's not really a fully functional real-world applications. We need to add additional features to it. So next thing we do is I want user comments, I want star ratings, so we're going to build that, right? Then the next thing is, well, if I'm on my awesome pizza place and somebody gives me a rating or a comment, I would really like to get an automated email notification that just happened on my place. So we need to build a feature that's an automated email notification, right? We're also going to build a dashboard where I can log in and see all my different places, see my average ratings, include a few statistics, right? Obviously, for all of that, we need user authentication, so log in, log out, registration. We learn how to do that as well. That usually takes our students, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how long you go through that, right? So after that, we move you up to the next level. And that's an online learning platform, right? We're building something like Udemy or Skillshare, right? And if I say platform, that already implies what that platform can do, what's involved here. Platform usually means there's multiple different players, user roles associated with it. And since it's a learning platform, there's going to be instructors on one hand and there's students on the other hand. And now we got to figure out on a database level, how do we keep track of all of that, right? So that means like, okay, there's a student on one side and there's an instructor that creates courses. What kind of material can a student who hasn't paid, and I get into the payment in a moment, can they see? Can they only see the overview video? Can they see multiple videos? Right? Each instructor set that up. So not only have a user registration, but different kind of user roles. And that is basically what the core is of so many web applications out there on the internet. These different user levels, right? If you're thinking about Facebook, right, this is like your friends of friends, right? Who can like and not like and share a photo. That's all the database relationships. And that's what you're going to learn building that platform out, the online learning platform, these user roles. Now, I also mentioned payments, right? So if you're thinking about like a real-world application, we want to accept credit card payments and process payments. And on our online learning platform, we definitely want to do that as well. So that means we can go and accept credit card payments by integrating with the Stripe API. So let's just do it. So you actually can make money on your platform already if you put some valuable content out. So maybe I would put something else like how to hang a hammock, right? Maybe I'm good at that. Or how to surf a wave. I am really good at that. So that's something that you put on there, and maybe even another thing we're learning at that on our online learning platform is JavaScript. And we're doing that to improve the user experience of our instructors on our platform by using JavaScript to make the user interface more intuitive. So what we're going to build from scratch using JavaScript, jQuery, and Ajax requests is a drag and drop interface where your instructors can move the different sections and lessons of their course up and down, and it's pretty simple without having to refresh the page every single time. So that's pretty much taken our students about 4 weeks. In between, we also have a section on test-driven development, right? So test-driven development is first about what are tests, right? We're writing software tests to automatically test if all of our features of our applications work. When we make changes over here, everything over there still will work. Test-driven development is basically I'm writing a software test before I build the actual feature. That's the industry standard. We definitely have to teach you that. And then we run you through a whole module on how to write good driven development so you're ready for the real world out there. Now, that usually takes students everything I said about 6 to 8 weeks. Now we need to customize the curriculum to what you want to get out of it. So I think at the beginning, let's look at the different people that we usually have, right? So let's focus on job seekers, career switchers, people who want to land jobs on existing teams as web developers, startup tech companies. Let's look at those first, and then afterwards I talk about the entrepreneurs as well. So if you're a job seeker, right, if you want to land a job and join a web development team, what we're going to do is we have you join a group project. In that group project, we build a chess application, right? A chess game. So lots of people tell me, oh, that's not that exciting. But actually, if you're thinking about it, all the pieces on a chess field, how we're moving them around, how we're keeping track of which move is valid, which piece got kicked out, what position does each piece have, and we write that in Ruby code. This is going to get complex really fast, that logic to make all of that happen, and then store it all in the database and build a visual interface so users can actually play with each other. That's a whole nother level of complication. And we're doing that as a group, which adds another layer of challenge on top of it, because in a group, we need to communicate, just like in the real world, how we're doing this, right? And if we zoom out a little bit of our program and thinking about how do things happen in the real world, it's the best software is always built by great teams. So you never code in isolation. You always work on a team. So for you guys, in order to be ready for the job and hit the ground running on day one and have that impact on a team, at the very first day on the new job, you need to know how to work on a group project and work collaboratively in a team. So that's what happens all there. You not only learn how to actually use GitHub with all the advanced features like branching and merging and fix merge conflicts and pull requests, you're going to learn all of that, but you're also going to learn how to take complex problems and break them into individual sections so you can assign them to the group and communicate as well. And one thing about students is the reason they learn so much on a group project is not even that it's so challenging building a chess application, but it's also really valuable to get reviewed from your teammates on your code and review their code, so you can learn from each other while you're working together towards the same goal of launching that application. And I just talked to one of our students in New York, and she landed an awesome job there. And she was like, you know, during the interview, they asked me, how do I use GitHub? And I explained to them how we use it during a group project. And they were like, that's just how we use it here on our dev team. That's awesome. You can be of impact on day one. And that's exactly why we're doing this, because hiring managers care for how well you can interact with the team, how well you're communicating, how well can you code in that team environment, in that collaborative environment. Okay, the other side, the entrepreneurs, right? If you come into our program and you're thinking about, hey, I really want to launch my own idea, I have that idea that I really want to build, I don't really care about necessarily launching, switching my career and getting a job, but I really want to launch my own application, right? So we have people from Adobe, for example, that code with us because they want to build applications for Adobe for their own work or their own private purposes. And so they're coding with us while they have their full-time job, and their goal is to launch their own application. So what happens after like the 10 weeks or 12 weeks, the 8 weeks are over, and you're in the last third of the program, we run you into a capstone project. And that means we're gonna take your idea, we wireframe it out. That means we draw, usually pencil and paper or digitally, we draw every single screen of your application, break it down into individual coding steps, and then figure out how we built that application so we can ship it live onto the internet at the end of the program. So those are the different tracks, right? We're building your own idea out as the entrepreneurial track. We're helping you get all the skills in a group project if you want to find a job as a web developer. Now, let's talk a little bit about the support system that we have, right? As I said before, there's office hours, virtual office hours. There's the Q&A forum, question and answer forum, and there's mentorship sessions, the one of your personal mentor. The one thing I usually start out with is talk about the Q&A forum. And everyone always tells me, come on, Mark, this is just a forum, who cares? But it is so instrumental of getting you into a good position to actually take advantage of the other things in our support system. So the Q&A forum, right? Imagine Thursday night you're coding, you're just writing some tests to pass, and you're working on some group project, and you're going to realize, I just don't know how I'm going to do this. I have this error message here, and I'm not sure how to fix it. Or you work on the automated email notification feature, doing your Yelp clone, and something breaks, right? So you're stuck. So we want to help you. So we let you take a screenshot of your error message, paste it into the forum, and within a few hours you have the answer that you need. So you're unstuck, so you can continue coding. So you're not spinning your wheels on things that we can just point out, like, hey, there's a comma missing on line 3. Hey, there on line 37, you're missing a semicolon or an equal sign, right? These are simple things we can fix in the forum. And that now, in turn, enables us, when you meet with your mentor, we can actually really work on your code rather than fixing these small error messages, right? You should be all error message free and have everything working when you come to your mentorship session. So when we work on Ruby code, like we write an algorithm together, right? Or we sort a list or a binary or something like that, we can go in and actually code together and pair program and make sure you understand that, right? And that's really, really important, especially for the job seekers, to know how to write really good Ruby code as well as build Rails applications. And that's not only for the preparation for the interview down the line, but it's also like to work on a group project when we need to write all that advanced logic to move our chess pieces across the field and validate their presence at any given moment. So doing that in the mentorship sessions, it is only possible because we're using the forum, right? So that's always how the forum works together with the mentorship sessions is, hey, get all rid of the mentorship session, which is once per week for 1 hour, and it's a deep dive into going over really complicated concepts, be it more test-driven development, or when we cover object-oriented programming or inheritance, key constructs that you need to have to land a job afterwards, or understand when you want to build your own application. If we cover those in a mentorship session, we can deep dive into those. It has nothing to do with simple error message shooting, right? It's all about getting you to that next level. So now, Office hours. We have office hours once a week. And I personally, I love office hours because it's a time where all of our students come together and meet each other virtually. And then what also happens, which I think is really cool, if you're just starting out, right, and it's your first week, and then you're like, meet people that are in week 8, 9, 10, or people that even graduated. We oftentimes have alumni come to the office hours as well. And you can ask questions, right? You can be like, hey, I have this error message here. And we do a screen share and we live troubleshoot right in the office hours how to help you, right? Or you have a question like the other day, we had a question like, hey, how do I get involved in my local community over here in New York, right? So people immediately started helping and giving suggestions on how to do that best. So that's the other thing that happens in office hours. Now, if you're like really far ahead, right, in week like 10, you see somebody in week 2 having an error message and screen sharing, and a lot of people usually jump in and help that person. That's really cool because that's a different way of solidifying your learning because you actually teach back. And we obviously, all the mentors are really impressed every time that happens, and it happens a lot. And it's really good because it's that community of like all of us together going through the program. So now I said I answer one last question, which is like, what can I really do, right, after I'm done with the Firehose project? And I think the easy question is, beside knowing Ruby, Rails, the database, your Postgres database, Git, the version control, right, Heroku, your server, GitHub for code collaboration, knowing all these tools, I think the one thing you can really do is like, if you have an idea that you want to build, you can go out several days, build it, ship it live, and test how it works and start improving on it. Those are the core skills that you're working away, besides having your own application live or landing a job as a web developer, right? That's the core skill set. So let's see if we have any questions, and I'm jumping in and answering them. So again, email me. You guys all have my email address, or use the box below in the Google Plus page. Happy to answer you guys' questions. So let's see what we have here. Yeah, I think I already got a few questions via email, which is awesome. So one thing we have is like, okay, what's the application process, and can I prepare in any way for this? Yeah, perfect question. So the application process works like that. We have PreWork right now. So if you go to theFirehoseProject.com, top navigations, you see coding, coding bootcamp PreWork or PreWork. Click on that, apply for that, right? Our team looks through every single application. So don't just fill this out in like 3 seconds and write a few words. Like really think, what are your coding goals? These are important questions, not only for us, but also for yourself. Fill it out. We set you up with a PreWork account. We beam you straight into the learning platform of the Firehose project, and you're gonna learn HTML, CSS, and you're gonna also learn how to write your first Ruby scripts to solve coding challenges, right? And 2 things happen in PreWork, which is we get to see how good you actually are picking up new skills and solving out challenges. But what's more important is you actually realize, do I like that, right? Do I like coding? Do I like solving these challenges? Because that's what you're going to be doing for if you jump on a career, or if you want to build your own application as an entrepreneur. You're going to write a lot of that code. So figuring it out early that you enjoy that is really valuable. And plus, once you're done with it, we can put you straight into the program and you're all ready to go, because you have all these core fundamental skills that enable us to accelerate your knowledge to the level where you need to be as an entrepreneur or in a group project, and then get you on to finding a job as a web developer. All right, what else do we have? Oh, here's another one. How the materials are presented. Great question. So I think we have a multitude of mediums that we're using, right? Obviously, if you're in Hangouts or Hangout video conference calls, right, it's live, right? So that'd be our office hours, our mentorship sessions. But then the materials are like a combination of videos and written documentation. So the videos are usually covering big overview pictures. How do all the pieces of a web application fit together, like model, view, controller? How do they fit together? What about the routes? What about HTTP requests? What about object-oriented programming? What about inheritance, right? How does all that fit together? These are key concepts that we need to know. We can explain them a lot better in video session than written guides. But on the other hand, if you're actually writing code and we're building, for example, integrating with the Stripe API to accept payments, credit card payments live on our application, right? We have that all in a very detailed documentation. And what that does is it mirrors the real world really well, because once you're a developer, you go on to read documentation, written documentation, a lot to integrate like with APIs, or maybe to use open source code and pull it into your own application. You always read documentation. So that will already teach you how to do that, right? While you're learning with us in the program, it prepares you for down the road. And that's exactly why we did that. And the other really good benefit is it becomes this really great resource where you can quickly fly through and figure out, okay, how did I write the code for my email notification feature again? Oh, right here in lesson 33. I can grab it, see that one line of code, great, now I know how to do it, and I can go back and build that, right? So that's why we have that combination. You get videos when you need it, and the core is going to be written documentation because it mirrors the real world so well. Great question. What else do we have? Let me go through here. Okay, there's more question pouring in. Rajeshekar, I hope I got your name right. Do we have a course where we web services and front-end tools like HTML, CSS, and jQuery? Yes, so this is a full stack web development course, right? So you're definitely going to use HTML, CSS. We're also going to teach you jQuery to build a better user interface. So the front end, we got things looking pretty good. So that on that front, you're good. We also teach you JavaScript. So you not only have to know jQuery, which is in short a library of JavaScript. So you not only have that, but you also have JavaScript knowledge as well. Do we use the Java Spring framework? No, we don't do that. We do Ruby as a programming language, and we do the Rails framework. And that is the framework that we do. Adding multiple frameworks, multiple programming languages into one is ending up really confusing, right? So if you learn one programming language and one framework well, and then do the next one once you're done with it. We believe Ruby and Rails, that's going to be the best bet for you to build the web applications or find a job afterwards. So that makes the most sense. Asaf asks me, is Ruby also good as a mobile application backend? Yeah, great question. I think you want to know, is Rails as the framework together with the Ruby programming language good to build mobile apps? Yeah, there's a ton of actually iOS apps out there that people build with Ruby, with the Ruby on Rails backend. So if you're thinking about it, backend, that's all the database, that's all the core functionality. When you like sign up, register, upload images, right? That's all the backend. So doing that in the Rails framework is totally the normal way of doing it. And then you actually point your iOS app to that backend and you connect with that. Again, there's a lot of ways we can do that, and we can definitely talk about that in the program. But again, you can also do a mobile-first web application and use that because that goes on all devices. And once you figure out what really works together with your users by getting user feedback, you can hammer home on the specific platforms and build only the features that you want. But that's a much longer conversation, figuring that out for any entrepreneurs that want to launch. But yeah, Ruby Rails definitely works for mobile development. Great question. Okay, what else do we have? Some other questions down here. So I'm just right now going through my email. So again, if you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll go through them. Michael asked me already. Great question, Michael. Michael asked me, hey, can you be my mentor? And I was like, well, we'll see about that. First, these guys are already working, two friends, they're already working on the pre-work, and I helped them out with a few coding challenges. So one step after another, Michael, you first have to finish all your coding challenges, and then we see what we do mentorship-wise. Okay, Danny asked me a few questions. I'm currently working full-time, and I want to know what the pace of the course is. You know, I can only commit about 15 to 20 hours a week. Does that work for me? Would you recommend that? And also, what computer is recommended before beginning? Okay, let's talk about time a little bit, because I think that's a question that comes up a lot, right? So how many hours do I need to dedicate into the Firehose Project program per week? Zoom out a little bit. First of all, there's students that dedicate between 15 and 20 hours per week, and there's students who dedicate 40 hours per week, right? Some students start with the 15 to 20 hours per week, and then they switch, they quit their jobs, and they switch into full-time work. Both ways work. The minimum I say, if you want to build your own web application as an entrepreneur, is 15 hours per week. We don't need to do all the interview prep with you, so we can save a few hours there. If you want to land a job, I'd say look at 20 to 25 hours per week that you spend during the 12-week period, right? So that's the minimum that we want, especially for job seekers, between 20 and 25. Don't go below that. We really need that time to teach you the algorithms, and really need you the time to get you, for everyone, entrepreneurs and job seekers alike. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get you to this inflection point. At that inflection point, all these additional doors open for you. As a developer, all of a sudden you can read documentation from other people, you can read code in the open source community, and you understand how all the pieces fit together. The sooner you hit that inflection point, at that point, your knowledge increases exponentially every single day that you spend learning on it. If you hit that point, you're going to learn so much more, so much faster than somebody who has not hit that point. What you really want to do is hit that point as early as possible, right? By putting in a lot of time. If you'd say, like, for example, hey, why can't I spread everything out onto 18 weeks or 24 weeks? Wouldn't that be better for me? I'd say no, because if I compare somebody who puts in more hours per week and hits that inflection point 5-6 weeks before somebody else, at the end of the same amount of time, the person who hit the inflection point early knows 10x more than the person who hit it later. So really, that's really important. Plus, what I heard from a lot of people who go through those longer periods, they, it's a reason for you to procrastinate, right? So really make sure you have that time and dedicate that time to it as fast as possible, not through our program, but get to a point where you're self-sufficient, hit that inflection point. So Danny, I hope that answered your question. If not, let me know in an email, and I elaborate a little more. Also here, a great question from Danny is like, do you have alumni experience similar time constraint? Yeah, we have people that right now, Dennis over in Washington, D.C., he puts in about 20 hours per week, and he's well on the way of doing everything he needs to be and be in a perfect position where our mentors actually look at him and greenlight him and say, like, yeah, if you were to apply for my team on a company that I worked previously or currently working on, I would give you the green light and bring you onto my team, right? And that's what you really want. These mentors that we're having, they all hired multiple, like, dozens of developers before they can really give you that honest, you'll be in. And no, you're not in rates that you have. Let's fill those in the next mentorship sessions. So that's really what you're looking for. So yeah, Danny, definitely there's alumni who had that time constraint, but with 15 to 20 hours a week, I think you're well in there. I'd say look for the 20 hours and you're solid. What type of computer is recommended before beginning? PC, Mac work equally well. We had hundreds and hundreds of students go through our curriculum, and the installation process is usually a bit painful. So that's why we spent some time, wrote a few hundred lines of code to write automated scripts that work on both machines equally well. So you have a professional web development environment set up, and we don't have to deal with any of these like gimmicks that you find in a lot of other places. So really want to make sure you have the best setup, and you don't have to buy a Mac. That's not important right now. It's important that you learn how to code and have your web development set up properly, and it works on Windows just as well as it works on Mac. So yeah, Danny, it doesn't matter. Do not go out. I mean, I'm using a Mac, but don't go out and buy a Mac just for that program. Learn how to code, focus on that. That's more important than running around the shopping mall. So if I got any other questions. All right, here's another one. This is awesome, keep it up. Yeah, Asaf, I just answered that, right? Do I have to finish in 12 weeks? Yes, I want you to finish in 12 weeks. Can I study for 18 weeks? No, because this is just gonna give you a reason to like, I still have like 8 weeks left. I can take this a little easy. Keep pushing. You wanna hit that inflection point. Everyone who came to us at the very beginning and asked, hey, can I have 18 weeks? What usually happened, we were like, yeah, sure, we can make that longer. After 10 weeks, they're like, I think I'm done after 12 because I hit that point already 3 weeks ago. I'm solid. Like, your curriculum is so good that it's not the amount of time that you're putting in. It's how high quality the curriculum is and what it gives you and how quickly you learn what matters and not waste your time on things that don't matter. So I hope that answered your question. Again, hit that inflection point as early as possible because you're gonna learn at a much steeper curve and you're gonna improve so much faster if you dedicate yourself to those 12 weeks. Great question though. Okay, let's see if we have any question over here. Now I have another one is, what about tuition and paying? Oh, that's a good question. So tuition currently is $4,500 for the full 12 weeks, includes everything, right? Job preparation, helping you with technical interview preparation, looking at your resume, right, for the job seekers, starts all the way. There's 2 weeks of pre-work included, so I guess it's 14 weeks technically. If you complete the pre-work quicker, then yeah. If you only take a week, I guess then it's 13 weeks. $4,500. If you pay everything up front, we give you a $500 discount. If you want to pay in installments, we have several installment plans. You can pay $1,500 per month, or you can pay $900 for 5 monthly installments and pay the $4,500 that way. Both works. You just let us know which one you prefer, and then again, application process works. Go to the pre-work in the top navigation on the Firehouse project and apply for that. And I'll set you up with an account, and we do regular code reviews, and we see how well you're actually doing before we accept you in the program. That's something that's really important to us. So yeah, great question. Okay, let's see. Do I have anything else? Quickly checking back here in my inbox. All right, guys, I don't think I have any more questions, which is awesome. I got a whole bunch of them, which I really appreciated. So yeah, I think we can wrap this up. I didn't get any more questions, so here's the thing. Apply for the pre-work if you like. If you have any other questions, right, you think about something like, oh man, I wish I would have asked Marco that, just email me. I'm happy to answer you guys. And hope to see you in the pre-work, code with you a little bit there, and have you go through HTML, CSS, and the first Ruby exercises. Just doing one more quick check because I'm about 2 minutes ahead of you guys. I think so. All right, guys, this was awesome. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope to see you in the pre-work. Until then, thumbs up to you guys. Thanks for coming. Stay awesome and enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy.